On the bench today we have the Boss DS-1 and we're going to compare it to a stock. So this is the stock one and this is the modded one, and we're going to change the tone stack, and you can switch between the two tone stacks with this switch here. And then on this side we're adding a gain adjuster. So when we look at the schematic, you'll see that there's a preamp before the op amp, and we're going to be able to turn the gain down and tame it a little. So those are two key mods that we're going to do today. So let's take a look at the schematic. Okay, I've pulled up the Electro Smash website. So let's scroll down to the schematic. Let's zoom in. So we have an input buffer, and then we have a boost circuit. So this is where we're going to modify it. So we're going to do some measurements around here as part of this modification. Then we go on to this, which looks like another buffer. And then here is the gain. So this resistor network defines the gain. And then we go into some hard clippers here. These are standard silicon diodes. And then the most exciting part, or one of the exciting parts, is this tone stack. So we're going to completely analyze this circuit, figure out how it works. It's similar to the circuit that's in a big muff. It is a mid-scoop design, and so we're going to examine that in detail. And then it goes to the output buffer, back to the amplifier or the next pedal along. So this feels like an exciting mod. So first of all, why don't we take a look inside the pedal and figure out where this transistor booster is, and replace this resistor here with a pot, because the gain is largely defined by this 10K and this 22 ohm. So if we can make that a little lighter, we can drive the circuit afterwards a little lighter as well, because 22 into 10K is a lot of gain, and I suspect we've got a clipping signal right here. So let's verify that. It's a brand new pedal that we're going to modify, so it's going to have surface mount. I bought it recently in Blue Angel Music in Pensacola, link below. And then so if we turn it over, you can see it's all surface mount. And if I flip this over, you can see this one is made in Malaysia, so it's not made in Taiwan, which is typical of a lot of surface mount. So let's take this apart. So we need to get this under the microscope now and see what is what, because I know that the Electro Smash parts won't match these parts. So we've got to trace through and find out what is what. I've got the SIGGEN hooked up now. I'm going to trace it through. So the signal comes in here on the brown wire, and then it is amplified in this transistor. So this is a boost. A lot of the transistors around here are the FET bypass switching. So let's just try and go on that leg. Yeah, there it is. And then I know this cap is the output because the values match up. So that's the amplified or the boosted circuit that comes from this little transistor circuit here that then feeds this op amp. And what we're going to do is remove this resistor here. Let me see if I can get the scope on it. Remove this resistor here. So I'm at the collector of the op amp and this resistor's on the collector. So one side of it is here. It's then on the collector, and then it's also connected to this leg of the coupling cap to the op amp. And we're going to replace this tiny little resistor here with a pot of an equivalent value, so we can turn down the gain and see how that affects the performance of this section, or affects the harmonics and the drive of this op amp. Okay, let's take a look under the microscope. So if I go here, so this is the boost, that's a transistor, that's a coupling cap, that goes to this op amp. I think these guys are going to be the clippers, and so this 10K here is what we're going to replace with a 10K pot, so we can adjust the gain of this preamp stage. Pot's in place now, it's set to max, so it's 10K divided by 22. So we're driving the op amp stage, and the clipper's really hard. And you can see we've got quite the set of harmonics out here, so let's reduce it. And now you can see we're getting to something more pleasant. Got averaging on, so let's leave it at that. So we've got a good set of even harmonics, so they're the higher amplitude ones, and then there's some odd harmonics between at lower amplitude. So I think that might make a good crunch sound, but we'll see once we get the guitar plugged in. But what we're going to do now is add the tone stack. I've redrawn the schematic here from the Electro Smash website. I'm going to talk through it. It's essentially two filters, a high pass and a low pass, and I've redrawn them here. We'll talk about that in a second. But you go between the two filters by adjusting the pot. So this is the tone pot. So when the pot is in one direction, the signal's going to go that way, and all high frequencies will get passed to ground. So that is a low pass filter. And when the pot is in the other direction, this will block any low frequencies, and only high frequencies can go through. And the most interesting thing about that, if we look at the cutoff frequencies of both of these guys, so if we look at the low pass filter, when this is hard in one direction, it's 250 hertz as a cutoff, so it only passes frequencies below 250. And when it's hard in the other direction, it's only passing frequencies above around 1200 or 1.2 kilohertz. This creates a mid scoop, so no matter where you put this pot, it's always going to be scooped in the mids. So I'd like to have an option where we change this from a mid scooper to something where we can peak the mids. So we play with these capacitors, and we'll see all this when we look at it on the oscilloscope in a second. So if I increase this capacitor value by 3 times, the high pass filter is going to move down its frequency response to about 400 hertz. If I change this capacitor to a 0.022, the low pass filter is going to move up its frequency response to 1000 hertz. So now we've got an overlap. This is going down to 400 hertz and this is going up to 1000 hertz. I also tried 0.002, which is 10 kilohertz, which doesn't really work. The circuit then just stops being a filter because the overlap's so large. But I found with some experimentation, these are the cap values I would like to use. So now let's take a look at this on the spectrum analyzer and play with some cap values, particularly these, and see the difference and show how it works by adjusting the pot. So this is my prototype circuit here. There's a lot more caps here because we're going to switch between the different values of caps and verify it on the spectrum analyzer, but this is stock and the pot is all the way in the high position, and you can see that the peak of this thing is at 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, around between 2 and 3 kilohertz. So there's going to be quite a lot of fizz when it's in this direction. Now if we turn the pot down, so now we're all in the low pass filter mode. You can see this is our low frequency response here, and if I just turn it up, that's the halfway position. So you can see the low pass is working and the high pass is working, and we have a null in the center. So let's go in this direction. Let's adjust the low pass filter now and put in that, change the 0.1 microfarad, which is this big yellow guy here, to the one next to it, which is the 0.02. And you can see that we've changed the frequency response now, so the roll-off is happening more up at a kilohertz like the equation predicted. So now let's go up to the higher frequencies. So you can see that this is at 2 or 3 kilohertz peak here, and so let's try and move it down by changing that 0.022 microfarad to 0.068. Okay, so now I've moved it downwards, and you can see the cutoff is much lower, more like a kilohertz. And now let's play with the pot and put it in the mid position. And now you can see I've created a nice cutoff here, so the fizzle is disappeared, and also the low is attenuated as well. And we're peaking here, and we can move the pot around, but we'll do that in the tone test. We've got a peak at around 700 to 900 hertz, which should really emphasize the mids of the pedal. So I'm going to add that to the pedal now and have a switch so we can go from mid scoop to mid peaked. The new tone stack is now wired in, and when the switch is in this position, this is C11 and C12 here, and when we switch it over to here, those are the values that we changed to, the 0.022 and the 0.068. So this is the clean sound. So when I put the pedal on now, it's going to get really noisy because of all this wires and the electrical interference. So humbucker. And that's with the gain at about 60%. Actually, this pedal really, when you roll off the volume, it's quite good. So now let me put in the new tone stack. So So we're hitting those mids, but it's crazy distortion. So let me pull back the gain on the preamp. So that's this guy. So it's not as aggressive now. So I think I'm going to button this part of the project up as I verified it's working, and then get on to the next part. Okay, everything is buttoned up now, so it's time for the tone test. I've got this one, DS-1. This is stock. It's white. It's a special edition, but there's no change to the circuitry. It's not like a Wazacraft or anything. It's just white. It's got a silver button here too. Anyhow, they are set up about the same. So here's a clean. So they sound about the same. So now I'm going to kick in this tone stack, and I'm going to reduce the gain on this one. Put it in. So if I turn the gain up in the first amplifier stage, that's up now. So that's the equivalent of this one with a different tone stack. So you can hear on this one the lows and the highs with the mid scoop. On this one, we've got the mid peaked. I'm going to reduce again, so that's down to 0, no signal. Add some volume. Original sound. So we've got more of a chugger now. Let's try it on the neck. turn up the gain. Back to bridge. It's a little louder. Fantastic. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.